Next up, we're going to practice cross contour lines. This is an important part to make our shapes and drawings look more three-dimensional. For this first section, we are going to match our lines with the value in the box at the top. So create your lines just drawing straight lines, and the further apart you space them, the lighter the value is going to appear. So you'll notice they start to get darker as I'm placing them closer together. I'm also pressing harder as I get into this darker box on the far right. So the harder you press, the darker those lines will be. And all the way on the right here, I'm putting those lines spaced together very closely. And then I'm going to also overlap them the opposite way. So cross contour lines are going across each other in two different directions here. I'm starting to spread them a little bit further apart in the opposite direction as I get to that lighter box. And then next, we're going to create a smooth gradient of these lines or blend ourselves without having them spaced out in the separate box. So still follow the value above in that space or where the gradient goes from black into white. And you're starting with the lines spaced very closely together and then starting to spread them further and further apart and lessen your pressure with your pencil as well. Then I'm going across the opposite direction here, and I'm just letting my line kind of fade as it goes off to the right so that it is mostly visible on the left where I want my lines to be the darkest. And then also work on layers. So go back in with a second layer, add those lines again to really make the darkest values dark. In this last section, we're going to start applying these lines onto shapes. Cross contour lines are lines that wrap around a form, so they are going to be curved on a more curved three-dimensional surface like this sphere. So we want our lines to follow the form or this same direction and shape of the outline of the sphere here. Just like a latitude line on a globe follows around the Earth, we are following around the sphere with these lines. So I'm following the direction of the arrows in that reference picture, kind of use that as a guide. But this is what's going to make our shapes look three-dimensional versus a flat surface. It is showing that this sphere is wrapping around and creating space and dimension. Almost think of it as if you took a ball and you were to wrap rubber bands around the ball. Looking at how that rubber band looks, it's not going to look flat looking at it. It's going to follow and look like it follows the curve of the sphere. Now I'm wrapping my lines the opposite direction to create that cross contour going the other way. And I'm following the curve of the outline where I'm drawing my lines as well. Now, what gets tricky this direction is when you come to the center of the sphere. It's not going to be a flat straight line in the center, but it's going to kind of fan out in opposite directions. So think of it almost split in half, and then on the right half, you're going to curve one way, following the right side or the outline of the right side of the sphere. And then on the left side, you're going to follow the left side of the sphere. So you could even just draw a line straight down the middle if that helps, and follow the form and direction on the left versus the right with your lines. I'm also looking at where the highlight, medium tone, and shadow sections are. So what we're going to actually be doing that's going to help is outline where the highlights, midtones, and shadows fall. On the cylinder next up, I'm going to outline all areas of highlight and shadow, and then what's left will be the medium tone. So the highlight is on the right side. I lightly outlined and labeled so I don't forget as I'm filling it in. And then on the right side of the bottom part here is the shadow. So I'm starting on filling in that shadow first with my lines very close together, and I'm pressing the hardest in the shadow areas so those lines will be darkest. And then on the left side of the cylinder, you'll notice that the lines are closest together and then slowly spreading apart because it's fading into more of that highlight and then into the medium tone and then shadow as you wrap closer towards the right side. Now the bottom of the cylinder is curved. So just like the sphere, I need my lines to follow that same curve, and they're going to come all the way across. But in the areas of highlight, you don't want your lines to be as dark. So I'm starting just with the shadow areas, and I'm drawing them as if I were to draw the line all the way across, but I'm stopping that curve where the highlight section is to leave that light in the middle. And then as you move to the top of the cylinder, it is more of a flat shape. So in order to keep that looking flat, you would draw your lines straight across. So you can add those in a little bit darker on the left side of the top of the cylinder and then fade to the highlight. So the highlight is there on the right. And then again, that top part, looking at it, you can tell that it looks flat. So you will draw straight flat lines there. And then I'm just kind of cleaning up the spacing, adding very light lines to my highlight. And then here are some lines on the top going across, and then just filling it in a little bit darker with my lines as well. And the last one we're going to do here is the cube. So look at your reference picture, look at where the planes are light, where they are dark. The top here is more of a medium tone, and then this part here is a medium tone in that little corner, and then a medium tone on the front plane, and a shadow on the far right. So again, outline areas of highlight, outline areas of shadow, and that will leave you with your medium tone sections. The section I'm going to fill in first is going to be this front panel here, and I'm going to follow straight lines on the front vertically, and then horizontally my angle of my line is going to change slightly. It's not straight across, but it is slightly angled, so I'm following the angle of the top and the bottom plane there. And then I'm going in with my medium lines on the top of the cube and stopping where the highlight is. And then for the darkest side, I'm going to do my shadow on this far right. So I just filled in that medium tone, and now I'm going in with the shadow. So my lines are nice and close together, and then overlapping in the opposite direction. I'm following the direction of my lines. And then I added a little bit of the highlight with my very spaced apart lines that are very light.